if you want to have a company or a business that maximizes the talent of this planet, then you've got to be diverse.
You are the author of Cyborg Cat, a series about a disabled superhero. How have your books improved representation in children's literature?
You mean these books?
Brilliant.
or even this one. And this one. Here's the full set of them.
Amazing.
They just so happen to be on my desk in my office and behind me. Well, it's a good question, because part of the reason why I decided to write this series of books is because there was a real lack of representation and diversity in children's books. And it was funny because it's something that I never even really thought about until when I met with my publisher at the time. And they made me think about the books that I read as a kid growing up, and made me think, actually, I never read any books with disabled kids or with Black kids or with any kids of ethnic minorities or with disabilities and when if there were kids who were working class, they were very stereotypical kids put in who acted in a stereotypical way, and I just thought, wow, something needs to change, and so I felt that it was really important to write these books and to tell that story, but not just to have a book that had kids of different ethnic backgrounds and different social economic backgrounds, but also to show them in every spectrum. They're the bullies, they're the goody two shoes, and then there's the superheroes, and to show that you just because you have a disability doesn't mean you can't be a hero, and the fact that we can all be heroes. Because I think there's always been so many negative connotations, not always consciously, a lot of it subconsciously, when people think about disability, and sometimes even when people think of people from different ethnic backgrounds and working class backgrounds, it's always like about working class background. Okay, is that person's poor, or they've got to have had a hard life. If they're from an ethnic minority, or they probably can't speak the language, or if they have a disability, that person can't walk, or maybe they're less intelligent. So it's always a focus on the negative aspect, whereas I wanted these books to be a celebration of everything that's positive, to show the ups and downs, but to celebrate the positive and the the happy, the joyous, and the funny side of people's lives, especially people with disabilities.
Why are diversity and inclusion important in the workplace?
Well, I think, first of all, what we've got to understand and never forget is that we are one race. We are the human race. And yes, the human race, within the human race, we come in all different shapes and sizes, all different colors, all different sexual orientations. We are like an exciting kaleidoscope of human chromosomes and nature. It's beautiful, it's wonderful, and it's something that we should celebrate. And if we only recruit or use people from one background, from one gender, then we're excluding a massive swathe of our world, and that's a huge amount of talent that we're leaving out. If you think our world has been dominated so much, the Western world has been dominated, whether people like it or not, and whether they're ready to admit it or not, by middle-class white Western men. They have all the best jobs, usually have all the power, and they have for hundreds of years. Imagine right? That, I mean, because that has excluded a huge percentage of the world. Imagine how much talent has been lost over the centuries. You know, how many geniuses have not been allowed to flourish? How many great leaders have not been able to show their leadership qualities, because we've been so narrow-minded in our recruitment. So if you want to have a company or a business that maximizes the talent of this planet, then you've got to be diverse.
How else must we improve accessibility in the UK?
How else? So I think, I mean, everybody should know about the disability model of the social model of disability. You know, everyone should, it should be taught in schools, it should be taught government, it should be part of their policy. They probably do know it. There's probably notes about it, but nobody really takes heed of it. And, you know, what the social model for disability says, and this was, you know, talked about and coined, this phrase was coined back in the 1920s by sociologists. And it says that a person is not disabled by their disability. So it's not my polio, it's not my wheelchair that makes me disabled. It's by the obstacles that society puts in front of us. You know, so the moment I leave my house, get out the front door, I'm suddenly faced by obstacles, you know, curbs that are too high or uneven, doorways that are too narrow, transport systems that are inaccessible. All of those things, those are the things that make me disabled, not my disability. And those are the things that we have to tackle. And that's a fundamental grassroots level of the way society is constructed. And we have to begin there. And that begins at that means in every aspect of society, we should be thinking, how do we make it as inclusive as possible? I kind of look at it from a sporting background, I mean, from a sporting philosophy. When we play sport, we look at each of our athletes and we think, or each of the players in my team, and we think, how can we create an environment that helps this person play to the best of their ability? And that's how we should be looking at society. How do we create an environment that makes everybody, including disabled people, be able to live and live to the best of their abilities? So it's not it's not a really simple answer. It's not like I've got one sort of clear-cut solution. I think it's something that has to be embedded within the psyche of a society.
How must businesses authentically recognise inclusive events like Black History Month?
So in an ideal world, we wouldn't need Black History Month, because the reality of it is Black history is all our histories. You know, Black history is British history. Black history is American history. Black history is the world's history, you know, because we all began in Africa anyway. We were all, or if we look back through our lines, our family bloodlines, thousands of years back, it would have started from African women, you know. So it is all our history. So we have to, we should acknowledge it, we should accept it, it should be part and parcel of our everyday lives. How I think it's down to each company how they choose to celebrate it. I wouldn't want it to be mandatory or forced upon any business or company to do something that they don't want to do. But I would hope that they would want to celebrate people who are part of their society. You know, we say, if we're going to celebrate all these other things that are just as important, you know, we should be celebrating Black history. So I would love to see companies talking about Black heroes, people who've made a difference, not just ones from the set there from hundreds of years ago or last century, but even the ones today. We've got Black heroes today around us. I mean, look at Lewis Hamilton. He's been knighted today. He's just one championship away from being our greatest racing car driver ever in the UK, which is astonishing considering his background and the fact that probably 15 years ago there were no Black Formula One racers. Look at the England football team that got to the Euro finals. Look how diverse they were, how many people from Black and ethnic minority backgrounds there were in that team. It's part of who we are. We should celebrate it. We shouldn't be ashamed of it. So I think I'd love it to be something that's natural, and we celebrate it by looking at what's around us and enjoying the stuff that around us. Generally, it's going to take for leadership and leaders of companies to just open your eyes. The talent is out there, and it's not always the talent that you think it is.